All right, guys, last week we talked about adding radicals, and we said there was a difference between if the radicals were like or unlike. This week we're going to talk about multiplying radicals, and lucky for you, it's very simple. All you do is multiply the outside numbers, and then you multiply the inside numbers. Very, very simple. So if you look at my example, I've got 3 square root of 2 times 2 square root of 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my outside numbers, my 3 and my 2, and I'm going to multiply those together. So 3 times 2. And then I'm going to take my inside numbers, so the square root of 2 times the square root of 6. 3 times 2 is 6. For the square root of 2 times the square root of 6, you can just multiply the numbers and leave it in the radical. So 2 times 6 is 12, and we're going to leave it in the radical. So 6 square root of 12. 12 can actually be simplified, and I do want the most simplified form of the problem. So I'm going to factor 12. Factors to 6 and 2. I can factor 6 to 3 and 2. So when I rewrite it, it would be 6 outside, and then I have 3 times 2 times 2. Since the 2 repeats, and we're talking about square roots, we're going to take the 2's and put them on the outside and multiply it. So 6 times 2 is 12. And the only number left in the radical is your 3. So that would be your final answer. Pretty simple. The tricky part's going to be making sure you have the most simplified version. So I always just kind of double check to see if you can factor it out or not. All right, still multiplying but a little different. Treat this like you would variables. If you have a number outside the parentheses, what would you do? Yes, hopefully you all said that at home. You would distribute. So we're gonna do 3 square root of 5 times 2 square root of 5. So I've got 3 square root of 5 times 2 square root of 5. That's gonna be your first part. And then since this is a plus sign, that comes down plus. And then we're going to distribute again. Again, just like what we would be doing if we were dealing with variables. All right, now you just got 2 different multiplication problems. So we're going to have to do those, and then we'll add them together. If you think you've got it, you're more than welcome to pause this video and try it on your own. Otherwise, just stay with me. All right, in our first parentheses, we're going to multiply the outside numbers. So 3 times 2 is 6. Multiply the inside numbers, and by inside, I just mean the numbers inside the radicals. So 5 times 5 is 25. So 6 square root of 25. And yes, I know what you're thinking, but for now, we're just going to leave it like that. Plus, all right, in our second parentheses, multiply our outside numbers. So 3 times 5 is 15. Under the radical, we've got 5 times 3, also 15. All right, so let's see if we can simplify these down. So 6 square root of 25. Well, 25 is a perfect square. So if we take the square root of 25, it's just 5. So this becomes 6 times 5, which is 30. All right, on this side, let's see if we can simplify. The factors of 15 are 5 and 3. Well, those are both prime factors. You can't simplify it down anymore. So you would end up with just the square root of 5 times 3, which is already 15. So we cannot simplify it. So we got 30 plus. This cannot be simplified. So this is going to be our final answer. Your most simplified version is just going to be 30 plus 15 square root of 15. You cannot combine anything else together. That would be your final answer. Just like with variables, you wouldn't be able to combine like x's and y's together. Same thing here. You can't just add those. They have to be 2 separate things. All right, one more example I want to show you. Up here. Okay. This looks like the last one, except hopefully you're getting some binomial vibes right now. It's kicking you back to quadratics for a second. Because that's exactly what this is. You've got two terms on this side, you've got two terms on that side, and you're having to multiply them together. Foiling is a cool thing. Or you can just kind of double distribute. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this first term, 3 square root of 2, and I'm going to distribute it to this entire parentheses. I'm gonna copy that whole thing down. Okay? This plus sign right here tells us that we're gonna put a plus sign. And then I'm gonna take this second term, 3 square root of 5, and again, gonna distribute it to this entire parentheses over there. Okay, so we've kind of rewritten the problem. Now you almost have two separate distributive property problems. You're gonna look at the first one, and you're gonna have to distribute 3 square root of 2 to both of these, just like we did before. So you'll have 3 square root of 2 times 2 square root of 10 multiplied by 3 square root of 2 times the square root of 6, right? Because we had to distribute that out again. Plus, we're gonna do the same thing over here. We have to distribute once again. So 3 square root of 5. I added an extra parenthesis there. I'm not sure why I did. That's not supposed to be there. Just pretend like it's not there. So it becomes a really long problem, but it is still just multiplying. You just have to make sure you're always distributing. Lucky for you, as far as your work this week, I'm only gonna give you one of these awful problems, so it shouldn't be too bad. If you have any questions or if you need anything, just shoot me an email.